Hi everyone, it's your girl Zafia Ashe Jasi, aka Fire, because I stay bringing that heat, and yes, in that order. So, right now, I'm kind of in the mid stage of like coming out of experience of experiencing neurodivergent burnout. um I was getting ready to get ready for the day because like this year I have been on a journey of learning how to unmask and to be my full authentic self in this inaccessible society and to just be me. I'm very eccentric, and I know like I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and I'm extremely sensitive, and I had to learn that like yeah, not everybody wants to be my friend or be cool. So that's what I'm coming to learn, and that's in the powerful, beautiful words of Iana Van Zant. Get it right. I'm learning to be self-full. So as I was in the midst of getting ready today, so because I about to say like, oh, I I worked through enough. I done enough analyzing. I think I'm ready for the day. But then something like the word of like that I'm luxury goods came to me. I'm like, ooh, I need to talk about this and share with the good people. So like I've been like thinking about like one of the reasons why I'm just like over like the standard way of doing business and corporations and how corporation suck the life out of creative beings. Corporations is another form of colonization, especially when we're thinking about humanity and humanity capital and the freedom of expression. So, and yeah, and I'm just thinking about of being a descendant of Africans that was brought to America for chattel slavery, and because I'm a historian, or I can say historian, because I'm all about my story. Yes, and that order. But and just thinking about the legacy of my ancestors, of like Black Americans here, and all the things and all the innovation and all the culture that we had to recreate when things has been constantly taken from us, when we going all the way back to like Scott Joplin, like he's the creator and the innovator of ragtime, which is the foundation for your blues, your R&B, hip hop, for like all that you want to say like American music, which is basically black music. And I'm thinking about like back in the days when soul was invented and R&B, and how black people had to keep inventing like our own style of music because white Americans kept stealing it and culturally appropriating, and black people not getting a just due of like what we invented. And that's how you get like funk and disco and rock, because when you still thinking about all these different genres of music, the foundation is the same because it all comes back from Scott Joplin and the invention of ragtime. And so like I've been thinking about, because I've been really learning about like patents, trademark, and copyright as like I'm um really thinking about structuring my business that can lead me to the success of where I want to be, because I want to build a global empire. And I know before, like I made a lot of mistakes working with people. And I know then, like, I didn't have the self confidence. I didn't believe in myself, and I was just trying to make something happen and see what would like come out of it. But I think I had enough. Like, my soul endured all that it could from others, and now that I know better, I will do better. And so, like, I have like just been like in the midst of, like, I always knew about like copyright, but learning about like trademark and patent and knowing the differences, and for me, I'm like, like I'm glad that there are like a lot of rules for people to create their creation, they invention, and like all that stuff, and that's needed. But then on the other hand, I'm thinking about like it's complicated for no reason. Um, because like this is my thing. It's like everything that's ever been created was inspired by something else, and people are going to adapt and reinvent it and so on. And I'm just at the point that I'm thinking like, is, especially for me and where I'm at right now, in my understanding, my play as a neurodivergent black woman living in America is like going through regis- registering a copyright and trademark and spending all that money, and then have to put all these legalities in place, like hiring like a law firm to do all the search and to see if anybody else is using it. And I'm like, I'm at the point like that is very overwhelming, and it's too much, and especially for me, and especially since like I have ADHD and I come up with thoughts like all this and that, and I have so many in a inter or so many different iteration in it's a I can't say that word, but so many things that I want to do, and like I'm always thinking, always creating, and I just don't want the burden of like, because I don't want to be in a position where I have to police and control other people, because I know I am a original, I'm one of a kind, I'm luxury goods. And yes, people will always try to duplicate and imitate like the greatest, but they can never be the source of who I am, of what I like exhibit of like my goodness, my God-given right, my soul, my spirit. Because like okay, I take back to like when like I created was working on a film Welcome to Our Healing Sanctuary with someone else, and it got to the point where I couldn't deal with it. I can no longer take the punching bags and dim my light in order to make room for this other person's insecurities, and and always feeling like we in competition. Well, I just want to be free. I just want to be me. And so like we came up with like the idea, even though I was like the leading voice, the leading creative director for it. But we did this other person did have some good ideas and add to it, and to make what the finished product was, because I'm gonna be honest, like I probably couldn't created that without working with this other person. Cause like they say, it's everything have its seasons, it's time and season for everything, and I had to learn that because like like I like cause I felt like I found my soul tribe, and me being a Taurus, like I don't want to let go. Like we can do so many amazing things together, but I understand like everyone is like their own person, and so I'm like okay, cool. And from that, the film was one way. When we started working together, it was supposed to be one way, but me being the person that I am, the silent rebel, the destructive, the creative genius that I am, that I exhibit with my neurodivergency, I'm like, okay, like this person probably thought like I needed them in order to be successful, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna throw everything out and revamp everything and create something new. And that's how like I created I came up with the idea of like the visual representation of what a digital healing sanctuary could be. But because like I didn't know my worth, and I felt like I always wanted to do something right, and then so I make sure, like, since we did come up with the initial idea, but the finished product is something totally different from what me and that person first created. I came up with something new, and I didn't understand all the laws, and I should have registered it differently compared to how I did. But it's a lesson learned. Now that I know better, I will do better. And it's just like, since like I'm always thinking of the possibility of what can be. This is why I am and Afrofuturist that juggled between the lines of Afrofuturism and Afrosurrealism. I'm always thinking about alternative realities of how something can exist beyond its form. Like that's the capability of my mind, and just being like a neurodivergent, this is something that I've been mastering for the last 18 plus years since I first sustained my severe traumatic brain injury back in 2004. And this is something that like I have been working on developing and experiment with, and I feel like the film Welcome to Our Healing Sanctuary is the highest form of luxury chaos that I ever created, that best depict and representation of how my brain worked. And now, and it's kind of like, and I'm just thinking, and since I've been learning more about like business, because I feel like as like an artist, as a creative being, it's imperative and a must that I own my own business as I'm navigating to work in the entertainment industry. Because just like from like the histories of Black Americans and other artistic creations that have been made, and how it have been colonized, and how all these Black geniuses have died poor, but the institutions like the record labels, film studios, art institutions reap the benefits of that geniusness of that Black person, but that Black person family still live in poverty. And that is a problem, because I'm still thinking about Jean Baptiste I think Jay-Z had purchased his painting for like a couple of million or 1 point some $1 million. And now I attended one of the top art schools in the country, and I have an inside look of how the fine arts world work. And like I rebel against that so much since learning about this new art form or practice that they have in the fine arts world, where they call it found objects. And then I'm looking around the class, I'm like, that's basically what we do in the hood on the south side. But the only problem is that the generational wealth gap um to information, that like people in the hood don't know how to monetize or how to build like a successful business or empire off of their creative geniusness. And then once I seen that, I'm like, yeah, like it's a must that I learn about business and take my time and navigating through it. And it's one thing in knowing like that the history of like my ancestors and all the things that they created, because like even though we call it like American culture or American music, that's nothing but black music. And like, and when we think about like K-pop, and like even though it's K-pop, but like you thinking about like the status of it, that's blackness. And that's something what I'm like what I want to build, a legacy that even though like people all over the world try to dismiss the contributions that black Americans have made to the world and put another face on it or another style and call it something else. But you can never dismiss the root of something, the original form of what it is. And I feel like that's something of what I want. I want to, because I always say I want to build a legacy like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. I've been saying this for the longest, and I don't care too much about the business world and corporations, because I honestly think is another form of colonization, and especially since like my my experience of working with people in Hollywood and how I created something and it was culturally appropriated by a white led disability organization out in Hollywood, where they went on to win a diversity, equity, and inclusion award for my work, and I received nothing but scraps. And I take it as like I'm a Virgo moon, so I'm very analytical in my emotions, and so I just take it. I'm like, okay, I didn't know, and it's a lesson learned, and I know for the next time of what I need to do, and who I should be working with, and who to and take people at face value, and also working on my need for like, I don't think it's a need for like validation, but it's just like because I've been like so misunderstood, unseen, and unheard for so long, and I just want people to acknowledge that I exist, that I'm not just like some poor little black girl from the south side of Chicago, that I need someone to pull me up by the bootstrap. Like I'm freaking brilliant. And I had to come to the point that like there are people who have good intentions and that means well, but like I'm different and not everyone is going to understand me. And I had to understand that like other people lack of knowledge or who they are is not my responsibility, and it's not my burden to carry. So and I guess all this is the same. I came up with the idea that I am luxury goods. Like if you want to say damaged good, I'm luxury goods. I'm one of a kind, and there's only one me. Cause I'm just thinking about it from the concept of the earth, and like in how many millenniums and decades and centuries there was, and there's been so many iterations of the same things, and we just do it differently. And because I strongly believe that in my past life that I was like Harriet Tubman, and and even though like Harriet Tubman will always like, even though I was Harriet Tubman in my past life, I cannot be Harriet Tubman in this life. Harriet Tubman have her own stamp, her own legacy. And I think that's powerful, and that's more than anything that I want. I want to be remembered. I want a long lasting legacy that can never be duplicated, no matter how many times people try. And I feel like what I'm creating with developing the first ever neurodivergent focused social media production company is revolutionary. It's something new. It's something fresh. And it will, well, long after I'm gone in this lifetime, it will still exist, and it will continue to help humanity to evolve. And more than anything, that's what I want. Cause and that's exactly the reason why like I shift like my focus from one to achieve EGOT status to winning a Nobel Peace Prize. Like more than anything, I want to leave a lasting legacy on humanity, to help contribute, to help improve, to help elevate humanity and the society. More than anything, that's what I want, and I'm glad that I went to art school, because like documentation is key. So yeah, that's all I have, beautiful people, and stay fly and fresh in that order, and remember to be kind and gentle to yourself. Peace out, beautiful people. Love, peace, and hair greens, collard greens for your soul. Blackness all day, every day, in that order. Hey, yes.